Hello everyone, welcome back. Now that we are familiar with HTML, which is used to define the structure, CSS, which is used to style, and Bootstrap, which is a library which has some predefined CSS code, let us create our own homepage. So we are going to create our own homepage which would be looking like this. So let's start directly with the code. So let's open this realtime.html in the browser. So currently it's at Bootstrap containers. Let's remove the current code. Let's also remove everything inside the head. Yes, so we have an empty HTML file over here. Let's start building our own web page. So first of all, I'll be setting the title to my home page. Next, let's import all the libraries which would be required by us. While creating our homepage, we would even be requiring the JS library of Bootstrap. So don't worry, we won't be explicitly using any class or JavaScript code from the library, but we would need to have it inside our head. What I'll do is I'll directly copy and paste all the libraries which would be required by us. The code is available to you, so you can also just copy and paste all the links available over here. So I'll briefly go over the libraries which we are using. So the first one is Bootstrap CSS library. The second one is jQuery. The third one is Popper. The fourth one is Bootstrap JS. So Popper and jQuery have been imported because they are a prerequisite for Bootstrap. And then we have the Font Awesome library, which has a lot of fonts. So that's it about libraries. Next, let's save this. So you can see the title has changed. Next, let's add an image over here. So if you can see in our home page, there is an image on the top left corner. So let's add an image over here as well. The code to do that is, first you take the link tag. In the rel, you put shortcut icon which has the type image/jpeg, and the link is provided in href, which is images/empty image.jpg. So let's first see if this works. Yeah, so this works. Now you all might be thinking, how do I know that I need to specify the type, the rel, the href? So you don't need to remember this. You can just start with the template code and start making changes inside that. Frankly, I also don't remember much of the code, but when I start using it, it gets familiar. So this top left image actually, yeah. So next, now that we have added the top left image, what I'll do is I'll copy and paste some of the code and I'll explain it to you. So this is a meta tag. This is a new tag, and the main, so you can see the meta element represents various kinds of metadata that cannot be expressed using title, base, link, and so on. What it means is that your browser might require some extra data to understand your web page. So you can specify those type of information using the meta tag. So you might have actually noticed that when you share a link in WhatsApp or Facebook, some content along with an image is displayed over there. So you can define what should be the image and the content when your own web page is shared on WhatsApp using the meta link. So the functionality of this meta link, which has the name viewport, is that it will make your website look good even on a mobile phone. So I'll go into a bit depth here, but if you don't understand it, you can obviously ask it in the doubt session. So what happens is your mobile phone has the same number of pixels as even your big monitor. But if you actually watch your so if you see your web page on a browser and you watch it exactly scaled down on your mobile phone, you won't be able to read the text. So what this viewport does is that it tells the browser that even though the number of pixels are the same in the mobile phone, you should display the website based on the actual width and height of the screen. If this is not clear, we'll explain it to you in depth in the doubt session. So this is the meta tag which will make your web page look good even on a mobile phone. Next, so that's it in the head tag. If we want to add some more information, we'll come back later on. So saving this and reloading, you can't see any difference because we have just imported the libraries and specified some metadata. So now let's start building our own web page. So first of all, we'll be adding the top navigation bar. For that, we'll be using Bootstrap navbar. So just Google Bootstrap navbar. Go to the first link. Here you will get a really good documentation about their navbar. You can ignore it and just copy the entire code they have over here. So they have also shown an example of how your navbar would look if you use this code. Let's just copy and paste it inside our body tag. Yeah, so I have copied and pasted the navbar. Let's save this and refresh this. So you can see that we automatically have our navbar over here. We don't need this search or this drop down or a disabled link. So let's remove that from our code. So we don't need the disabled, we don't need the drop down, and we don't need this search. Let's save this. Yeah, so that's it. Now that's it about the navbar. You don't need to exactly understand what these classes and all do, but just directly using the Bootstrap navbar is good enough. So we want to change the text inside this navbar. Let's name it your, let's say my name, and change the href to just slash. Just slash means it will go to the very base code, which is the one which we are seeing right now. My name. Yeah. So right now, as you are on an OS, the slash would go to the very base of the OS. But if you are, let's say, deploying your web page on GitHub, then it will go to the base file and it's automatically the index.html file. So I'll reiterate this for someone who does not understand. So if you just type href slash, so let's say your domain name is your GitHub id.github.io. Let's say this was your website link. Just applying href slash would put your website over here. And GitHub, by default, when someone tries to access this link, displays the index.html file. So you might be thinking, why index.html file? Why not home.html file? So that's a general convention. And even in the settings, you can change which is your index.html file. So index.html is usually the entry point of your website. So put the href as slash. Next, we have our home link. So let it be home. Then we'll add all the profile, research, latest, project, and publication. I have already written down that code, so I'll just copy and paste it. So we don't need the link, so I'll remove it, or maybe I'll remove it later. So you can see I've just copy and pasted the link code, changed the href to slash profile, and then changed the text to profile. Let's remove this link and save it. So you can see, as we are on the home tab right now, the home is a bit of a dark color and the others are grayed out. You can see that in the home tab, we have an active class. So the active class has the styling which says that it should look a bit darker compared to not having an active class over here. If you just apply the active class over here as well, then profile would also become dark, which you don't want right now. Also, when the href is just slash profile, if your domain name was like earlier your um, github id.github.io, then the person would be taken to your github id.github.io slash profile. And if you have a profile.html file inside your GitHub repository, you will be displayed the profile.html file. Currently, we don't have a profile.html file, so this will go to an error, file not found. So that's fine. You can create it later on and it should work then. So now we have our navigation bar. Some of you might be thinking, why did we need to use Bootstrap for this? We could have created our own container, given it a slightly different background color, and just added these A tags, and they would have come automatically on the left hand side. So why did we need this navigation bar? Let's try to change the width of the browser. You can notice that once the width decreases by a certain amount, all the tabs which are available over here are collapsed into this button. If I click this button, you can see a drop down menu which shows all the tabs which were present over here. That's the most interesting part. And as we are using a button, and there's a logic, right? If we press the button, then it should show all the current tabs. That part requires JavaScript, which we imported from the Bootstrap JavaScript library. So this is a really nice property of Bootstrap navigation bar. So that's it. We have created our own navigation bar. Next, so once the navigation bar is done, let's first create this dark background. Also, you can see this color is not exactly white. The background color is a bit um, dirty white, and this is actually plain white. So let's first change the color of the background. To do that, I'll create a style tag in the head. As we want to change the background of the entire website, we'll be changing the background of the body tag itself. So I'll just write body. Yeah. So what we want to do is we want the the top part of the body to have a black color and the bottom part to have a dirty white color. So we can do that by using the background property of CSS. In that, we are going to use a new thing named linear gradient. So you can see VS Code is giving me a suggestion. So I also came to know about this linear gradient recently. What I was doing was I was searching for like how to have step gradients in the background, and there I got to know about this linear gradient. So whenever you want some new feature on your website, just search it on Google, and you will be able to find a new CSS property for that. So in the background, I have the linear gradient. So first of all, we specify the direction of the linear gradient. So that's to bottom. What I'll do is I already have the code written down. So I'll just copy and paste it, and I'll explain it to you what exactly is happening. So first we specified that the linear gradient direction should be from the top to the bottom. Next, this is a color code. So as you can see over here, just a moment. Yeah, so this is a color at this point. So it's not completely black, neither white, but it's on the black side. So you can change whichever color you want, and you can see a hex code of the color on the top. So we'll be using 333, but if you want, you can change it according to your own wish. So this means the 333 or the blackish color will start from 0% of the entire height till 350 pixels. So this is 350 pixels, and we'll have the 333333 color from 0% to 350 px. And next, we'll have this ed color, which is dirty white from 350 px till the end of the website. So that is what linear gradient means. Let's say if you don't add this, then let's experiment exactly what will happen. So first of all, from 0% to 350 pixels, the color will be black. After 350 pixels, the color would linearly increase from 333 to ed. So from black to white, you'll be able to see the shades. Let us refresh this page. So you can see that the entire background has become black. This is a so this would automatically get resolved when we add some content. So linear gradient does not work well when there is not enough content available. So let's start adding our content over here. So first of all, we'll be needing to create a container which will contain two columns. The first column would have the width of 8 of the 12 imaginary columns, and the second column would take 4 of the 12 imaginary columns. So let's first create a container. which has a single row and it has a column of medium size of width 8. Next, we need to have an image on the top of the column. So let's add the image tag. So the image tag has the attribute source. So we'll put the path of the image over here. You can see that I have created an images folder beside the realtime.html file, and that images folder consists of barcelona.jpg and empty image.jpg. So in the source, I will put images slash barcelona.jpg. You can see that the VS Code editor is smart enough to give me suggestions related to files even outside the .html file. Next, we want our image to take the entire width of the column. To do that, we use inline styling. We apply the width property of CSS to be 100%. So this image would take the entire width of the column. Next, we want to have some header over here. So and you can see when I hover over this header, I'm getting the pointer, and when I click over this, it takes me to a new website. So this should be a link. So if you remember, we applied links using the A tag. So the A tag has the attribute href, which is used to point to the same website or a different website as well. So I'll put a random link over here. Let's say https google.com. You can change the link to anything you want. Next, I'll give you a small extra information. So what can happen is when I click over this link, you can see that it's opening in a new tab. But usually, if you just use the A tag, your entire web page gets reloaded to google.com. If you don't want to do that, you can just add target is equal to underscore blank. This will make sure that your web page opens up in a new tab. So we have set the target. Next, let's some project name. So let's put here some project name. So we have taken care of this project name as well. You can see that there is some padding between the image and the project name. To apply that padding, we can just create a class with a pt5. Here it does not matter whether it's pt5 or mt5, as the background color is the same. So I have used pt5. You can even use mt5. Also, you can see that there is a padding on the left hand side for the entire content over here. Also, there is a padding on the right hand side as well. To apply a padding to the entire content, let's actually create a div which has px of 4. What we can do is we can apply this pt5 class to this div as well. Okay, so now let's add our last updated p tag. So this is just a new line. So we'll use a p tag to create a new line and add last updated. Let's say I add this. Let's see how our homepage looks right now. As the linear background is misbehaving a bit, I'll just comment it out right now. We'll see that effect later on. Yeah, so this is looking nice. This has started to look nice, but it's really different from what we are seeing here right now. So first of all, there is a margin on the top of the image. So let's add the margin. So to this, I'll create another div inside the column. So you can create n number of divs. So you can think of a div as used for applying same properties to whatever is there inside the div. So we apply the class empty5 to this div. So let's add all this content inside the div. Yeah, so now we have the padding. One more thing you might have noticed is that this one has a bit of a shadow, and it makes it look like this is a card which has been posted on the website. To make this effect, Bootstrap provides us with a class named shadow. So just apply shadow, and you can see that we are getting the effect that this is like a card which is coming out of the screen. So that's nice. Next, if you notice, this color is actually different from here. It's a slight difference, but it's there. So I'll use the class bg light, which is a light color but not exactly white. Yeah, so there's a slight change, and the background color. Next, let's actually see why we are not getting this header as big as we got it over here. So we have the header just inside the A tag. So obviously the text size won't be large. To make the text size large, let's create a span or directly use header 2. We'll use header 2. So you can see, yeah, the size has increased, but there is a difference. This color is black, whereas automatically, because we use the A tag, this has become a blue color. To force that, even though it's a link and we don't want a blue color, let's create a class. Let's name it href without decoration. So I'll copy paste some code. What we want this href without decoration to have is that the color should be black. So 000 stands for black. And I have added this important attribute after the color. I'll explain exactly what this is. And next we have the text decoration. So you can see that when I hover over the sum project name, it gets an underline. So if you put text decoration is none, then the underline won't be visible. Why are we using this important is because it can happen that already some other class is applying some property to that div, or let's say the A tag. If you want to override the existing property with your own, you should specify the important attribute. So this will override all the existing styles which were applied to the A tag. Let's save this. Next, let's apply the A tag this class. So I'm using the class attribute and I'll apply href without decoration. Let's save this, and you can see that even though I'm hovering over it, I'm not getting the underline and the color has changed to black. You can experiment with removing the important attribute and check how it behaves. So now that our header is working perfectly fine, the last updated also looks nice. Let's add some content after that. So I'll just copy this content, and below this I'll create another p tag which will contain some random content. Let's refresh our page. So you can see we have some content. Also below this content we want some padding. So let's add padding bottom of unit 3 to the div class. Okay, nice. So you can see that the website has already started looking nice. Let's add this button as well. So I'll create a button element. So Bootstrap provides us with really nice classes which make the button look good. You can have a look at it in the documentation. So I'll apply the button class. It should be button light. So it will have the background as light color. I could have used success as well. I'll show you what happens when I use button success. And there is a button outline dark class which will make the button look interesting when you hover over it. Next, that button should contain the text continue reading. Let's save this. So you can see that we have added a button over here as well. If I had changed this button light to, let's say, button success, then the background would be green, because if you remember, in Bootstrap success means green, danger means red, and dark is black, primary is blue, and so on. So let's keep it to button light. So yeah, we have our content card ready. What you can do is, if you want to add more content to your website, then you can just copy this content and repeat it multiple times. Just a moment. Yeah. Let's see how it looks. So yeah. Also you can see there is no padding below this container. So let's add some margin or padding to this container. So MB5. Yeah, so there is now some gap after the last content as well. So yeah, we have created this content. Now let's start building this one. So if you remember, we had created the class call MD8. We'll create another div having call MD4 and start writing our code to build this information card. So I'll comment, like I'll collapse the current code. Next, I'll add div class call md4. Inside that, what I'll do is I'll just copy and paste some of the code, and then we can go over it step by step. Let's save it. Yeah, so I've added the content card. So this is the code. So let's first understand the first part. So inside the class call LG, so let's change it to MD. So there is a call medium which takes 4 of the 12 imaginary columns. We don't need this class. Let it be. So inside the column, there is a row which has another column inside of it. There are some additional classes over here for padding, for background color, for giving it the shadows, which makes it look like a card. Also, we have applied text center, which would make the text center aligned inside this entire div. We have an image which has a margin bottom of unit 5. The source is at images slash empty image.jpg. So you can see we have an image already here in the images folder. Next, this is an interesting part. So you must be familiar with width by now. So we have used inline styling and kept width 100% so that the image takes 100% width of the container. And next we have used border radius 50%. What this means that the border would be a bit circular and would have the radius to be equal to 50% of the width of the image. So that's really nice because that means your image, even though it might not be circular, would be visible as circular over here. So that is how we apply the image. Next, there is a p tag which contains some random text. To add some new lines, I have used br. So that's it about creating the information card, the top information card. Also, if you want to add a padding on top of the information card, you can just like add over here, let's say MT4. Let's see if this works. Yeah, so your cards were shifted a bit down, so that's fine, it works. Next, we have another card. So it has the class row. Then there are some padding and margin classes. So these you can tinker with and see whatever works best for you. Then there is the background light class, which applies a light colored background, which is not exactly white. Next, we have the shadow class to make it look like a card. So we have then a call class. Remember this, whenever you have a row class, put your content inside the column class, even though you have one column. If you don't do this, then some classes like text center won't work for the content inside of column. And it can be really frustrating that even though you are applying text center, but the content is not getting centered. So remember this, whenever you use a row, there should be a column inside of it. This is just the content which you can see in the contact information. So I have created a heading of the 5th level. So H1 is the biggest heading, then H2, H3, H4 till H6. So we have H5 over here. I have used the class padding bottom of unit 2, and here is a new class named border bottom. As its name suggests, it will add a bottom border to this H5 element. So you can see there is a light border on the bottom of contact information as well as Gmail ID and so on. So I'll explain one. So we have applied a class border bottom to this p tag, which ensures that our content comes on a new line. We have an a tag, which is used for pointing your content to a different website using the href attribute. You can see I have added here mail to. So your browser automatically understands whenever you write mail to colon and an email ID, then it will automatically open your default email client and put the to as the email over here. So you don't need to memorize these. You can just Google how to send, how to link an email using a tag, and you'll be able to get the syntax. I have been using the strong tag. Some of you might have already guessed. It's for creating the bold content you see over here. So strong can be used to bold your content, and that's it. So this is a repetition of the same thing. You can see for the telephone, just like mail to, we have a 10, and if someone is opening your browser like or your content on a mobile phone, and if that person clicks over here, they'll automatically be redirected to their calling app with your number present over there. So that's it. If you add all this content, you'll be able to get a website that looks like this. The only difference I can see right now is this linear gradient. So let's go back to applying the linear gradient. So I have come inside the head. This is the code which I had commented out earlier. Let's apply this. And now you can see after adding some content, the linear gradient has started acting normally. So first, the direction is to bottom. We start with the color 333 from 0% till 350 pixels, and then from 350 pixels we go to 100% with the dirty white color. If we had removed this, then there would be a linear increase from 350 pixels to the end of the browser from this dark color to this white color. So you can see now that there is a gradient, and this is the dirty white color and this is the dark color. So you can experiment with different linear gradients and choose whatever works best for you. Yeah, so I believe that's it about creating your own homepage. So the links which are, so if we click this link, then it won't work because this button, we haven't added any logic to what should happen when we click that button over there. We'll be learning that in the next session of JavaScript. So you can see we have not added any logic over here to the button. So this button does not work yet. Next, if you click on the profile or the research, then as we have not created any .html files for research, these links won't work. So you can go to mayank.autonise.com and you'll be able to find that there are a lot of like real-time. So just give me a second. Instead of mayank.autonise.com, so this is my own web page. It looks very similar to the one which we were building. When I click on profile, it goes to /profile, and I have already created a profile.html file. So that's why it's showing me this page. Otherwise, a 404 error would be shown if the page is not available. So that's it about building your own homepage. Now we'll have a mentorship session. So please join via the Zoom or Google Meet link. Thank you.